Hi there, welcome to Dr. Tu Academy. This is Java tutorial for beginners, lesson number 14. The topic of lesson number 14 is abstract classes. There are four most important concepts regarding object-oriented programming: inheritance, polymorphism, encapsulation, and abstraction. We learned inheritance in lesson 11, polymorphism in lesson 12, encapsulation in lesson 13. Now we are going to learn abstraction in this lesson and the next lesson. Abstraction can be achieved through abstract class or interface. So in this lesson, we'll learn abstract class, and in our next lesson, lesson 15, we'll learn interface. So what is abstract class? Well, abstract class is declared with the abstract keyword. We cannot create an object of abstract class, so the abstract class cannot be instantiated. Abstract class may contain abstract methods. If we put an abstract keyword in front of the method, then this method is called abstract methods. Abstract methods don't have implementation code, so its implementation body is empty. But abstract class may also contain regular methods, those methods with implementation code inside its body. So how to use abstract class? First, we cannot instantiate abstract class. So to use abstract class, we have to declare subclass of abstract class and implement those abstract methods inside the subclass. Now let's double-click eclipse.exe file. Let's create a new project for this lesson. Click on File, New, Project. Select Java Project. Click on Next. Project name, Lesson 14. Click on Next. Click on Finish. Module name, com.Dr.Tu Academy.Java tutorial .lesson 14. Click on Create. Right-click on Lesson 14. Select New. Click on Class. Package name com.Dr.Tu Academy.Java tutorial .lesson 14. Name code tester. Click on Finish. Let's create a main method. Public static void main stream brackets args braces. Now let's create a class right click on lesson 14, new class, class name, user. We can check this checkbox. So we are going to create an abstract class, user. Click on finish. Notice the class definition. We have abstract keyword in front of the class. Let's define the private member variable. Username. Private. Password. Constructor. Public. User. Username is empty string. Password is empty string. Now let's create another constructor. User. The first parameter will be username. String. Username. The second parameter will be password. Username is username. So we pass the parameter username to member variable username. Password is pwd. We pass the second parameter pwd into the member variable password. Now let's write an abstract method for login authentication. Public abstract boolean login authentication stream username stream user password. For abstract method, it doesn't have implementation body code, so we can just enter the semicolon here. The reason we are using the abstract method for login authentication is because we want to hide our login logics in our derived class. So let's create another class called student. Right click on lesson 14, new class, name, student, superclass, user, click on finish. Here we have auto-generated method login auth. So the login authentication logic is we compare the username and the user password with the entered parameters, username and the user PWD. If they are the same, then we say the login is a success. Otherwise, it returns false. So if username equals username and password equals user pwd return true, otherwise return false. But you notice the username has the red lines underneath it. That's because it is a private member. We can't access the private member in the subclass, so we need to change that to protected member. Let's click on user.java. Now let's change the private to protected. Now let's click student.java. Now the red line disappeared, right? Username. But the password still has the red line underneath it. So we need to change the password to protected. Click on user.java. Protected. Click on student.java. Now the password is okay now. Let's create a constructor. Public student. Super. Create another constructor. Stream. Username. Stream. Password. Super. Username. Password. Now let's click code tester. Now let's declare student object. Let's declare Boolean login status. Boolean login status. Let's create a new object, student. New student. Jeff. Password pwd12345. Let's check the login status. Student. Login authentication. We put Jeff. One, two, three, four, five. Login status. Login authentication. Jeff. pwd 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we create a student object, Jeff, and its password is pwd12345. Then we call the method loginAuth to check the authentication. We know the password for Jeff is pwd12345. So this one should return false because the password is not the same as the password here, right? The second call of loginAuth is Jeff, pwd12345. It matches the student Jeff and its password. So the second call to loginAuth should return true. Let's double click here to put a breakpoint here. Click on debug button. Step into it. Step into it. So the constructor of user will set the username and the password. Let's expand the student object. You can see the password is pwd12345. Username is Jeff. We can also put the mouse next to the student. We can see the object properties, password, and the username. Now let's click step into. This username is the parameter we just passed in. And this user pwd is also the parameter we just passed in. The user pwd is 12345, but the object member variable password is pwd12345. You see that pwd12345, and this is 12345. So this condition is false. This condition is true. Username, right? But since this is the end, so both sides has to be true to be true. For this condition to be true, both sides has to be true. But this side is false. So this condition is false. It will skip the return true, go to the next line as return false. See, since it's false, it will not execute the line inside the if block. To go to the next line, it return false. Assign the status to login status. So the login status is false. You can also look at here, it is false. Now let's pass the Jeff and the pwd12345 into the loginAuth. So password is pwd12345 and the user pwd, the parameter is pwd12345. So this condition is true. Username is Jeff. Look at this one. Username is Jeff. So this condition is true. And this is a logic. And so both sides of the and is true. It is true. So it will step into the if block. Right? It will return true. Now we assign the return value to login status. Now the login status is true. Step over. So this is how we use the abstract class. In the base class or the superclass, we call that, we can declare abstract method, and this method does not have the implementation body, so you don't see the braces like this constructor, right? The semicolon is right next to the parentheses. But we will implement the body of login auth in the subclass of user, which is student. Here, we implement the method login auth. Then we can pass the username and the password into the login auth. So as we can see, the login logics is no longer in the user class. It is implemented in the student class. It's child class. So it is the child class specific implementation. And this way, we can abstract the implementation of the login authentication logic. So if you look at the abstract class, you want to be able to see the login auth implementation logics. And in its child class student, we did the implementation of the actual login logic. The abstract class is one way to do abstraction in Java programming. Another way of doing abstraction is to use interface. Let's summarize what we just learned about abstract classes. We use abstract keyword to define an abstract class. Abstract class can contain abstract methods. What is abstract methods? Abstract methods is a method without implementation. It only contains the method, return type, method name, and parameters. Abstract class can contain regular methods as well as the abstract methods. The regular methods are the method with implementation code. Remember, we can never instantiate an abstract class into an object. To use an abstract class, we have to declare a subclass from the abstract class. And we need to implement all those abstract methods in subclass. In our next lesson, we are going to learn interfaces. We will learn what is interface and how to use interface. Abstract class and interface are the two ways to achieve abstraction in Java programming. And abstraction is one of the 4 most important features of object-oriented programming. That's all for today. I will see you next time. Bye.